Welcome to Forged in the Fires podcast with Fireman Rob. Being a fireman, father, veteran, husband, world record holder, and Ironman, he brings stories of experience to impact your life while challenging you to live it. What do you want from your life? Why do you want it? Are you willing to go through the challenges to get there? If you have the courage to take that first step, let this podcast be the catalyst to start your fire while you bring the resilience to make it continue to burn. Our lives are made up of moments called right nows. So let's get started. Forged in the Fires podcast with your host, Fireman Rob, begins now.
All right, welcome back to Forged in the Fires podcast. I'm your host, Fireman Rob. Today, I've got a podcaster that's, I'd have to say he's better than me. I've been on his podcast. He is one of those guys who is changing lives because he's been there. He's went through the struggles. And you know what? Great friend of mine, Brock Bevell. How you doing today?
Man, what's cool? That's a cool intro, man. I'm not going to say I'm better than you, man. How about we be equal? Because I like it.
I mean, I don't know. I'd say you're a step in front of me. And I'm slow, but I'll get there eventually.
Well, dude, because you're running in full gear. That's why I'm faster. Let's be real.
Hey, but I don't have that cool beard. I don't got the cool beard that you do. I need to get one of those.
Listen, man, you live in Wisconsin. Every lumberjack in Wisconsin's got a beard.
So true. That's so true. Now, you and I met and I was able to be on your podcast, and we talked for a long time. And just had an amazing just a journey. The conversation went from what I had done to what you and I are both working on now, which is mental health, not only for ourselves but for others. I want to dive into. I want to get the first part out of the way, just kind of giving your backstory, because like we were talking about before, we don't always want to live in the past, but you did come from some dark past, but now you're in the super bright light. Tell me, you were a police officer. You were an undercover police officer. Tell me what happened on April 11th, 2002, that really turned your life from what it was to that dark moment.
Yeah. So since probably most of the people listening to this are first responders or have loved ones, this is a cool part of my story, and I'm so glad we get to go back, because if we don't ever go back and touch it and see it, it almost is because there's time. I just hit 12 years of sobriety, and awesome. I'm living in more sober time than I did in full active addiction. So that's kind of neat, But yeah, like you're saying, man, I was a police officer here in Mesa, Arizona, where I live. I'm an Arizona guy, man.
It's hard to believe you're an Arizona guy when your brother was a Wisconsin guy.
Well, I don't tell a lot of people after the ass kicking they took this week. So Arizona got beat up. No, but yeah, man, he did play for the University of Wisconsin. That's how we kind of connected. We talked about the prime quarter. All you Wisconsin people, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But the deal was, man, I had a cool career. I was able, because I speak fluent Spanish in Arizona, a white guy speaking Spanish, I feel like that was one of my hand up, an opportunity for me to move around the department pretty quickly. Here in Arizona, they pay more money if you speak Spanish, because you have to go on all the Spanish speaking calls. People don't even think about that stuff. But I loved working narcotics. Rob, is there an aspect of your job that you other than looking sexy and eating a lot of food and working out, is there a part of your job that you just love?
I have to say, one of my favorite things to do is extrications.
Yeah.
Car extrications. Cause you just get, it's rapid. It's just fast, and you have to be a problem solver. And I think, similar to what you're talking about, there's that adrenaline aspect.
Yeah. So you just hit it, man. When you work undercover, you have to become somebody different immediately. In every situation, you got to have a cover story. In every situation, you got to be 2 steps ahead. Now, there was a time where it didn't always happen that way, where we pull guns on other agencies or the DEA accidentally were buying dope on them. They think they're making a big score. Yeah.
Oh my.
So anyways, that stuff happened. It's real, man. But
that's like your brother calling a running play and getting a pass rush. It's like what's going on here?
I thought you were going to say it's calling a pass play on the 1 yard line of the Super Bowl.
I
thought that's where you were going with
edit
it.
That?
No, man. We're okay with it, man. That dude's a warrior.
I know.
So that's what I like most about the job is you are a problem solver, and you have to be very quick to analyze situations. So working undercover, you have to be able to identify your threats immediately. You have to be able to outthink what's happening next, because and you got to talk your way out of it. So kind of what you're saying on April 11th, long story short, one of our confidential informants who was street level prostitute. Okay. Mm-hmm. People are like, what? You work with prostitutes? Dude, listen, best source of information because they're down in it, right? They're mixed in. They're mixed in with the drugs. They know the street level, who's who. If you ever need intel, I'm telling you, Rob, go to the prostitutes because they're street savvy. Okay.
I just use my GPS, man.
Yeah. But for us, man, when we needed intel, but on this occasion, man, this kind of like will spark your brain a little bit. She heard about a case, heard about an incident that was about to happen within like 30 minutes that a lady was going to bring her daughter, and she was going to sex traffic her daughter in exchange for drugs. So this was a 12-year-old girl, youngster, right? Mom's there. Mom set the deal up. Now, understand she was just released from jail. It was a Friday, I believe it was a Friday, and the judge is like, hey, I'm going to let you go home over the weekend. You have 9 felonies. You're going to come back on Monday. You'll be sentenced to get your affairs in order. So the judge releases this lady.
Oh, my gosh.
She drives 3 hours, picks her daughter up, and on the way down, she calls this drug dealer named Bobby and sets up this deal. Bobby was going to be able to have sex with her young daughter, and Mom was going to get high. That's crazy. If this tells you anything, that a street level, that a prostitute would give us this intel. So that kind of shows you that this lady had a heart, man. This lady understood, hey, this is who I am, but nobody else should be doing this. And, dude, I got to let you know that when we talk about dope or standard time, it's like it never goes down. You would see the amount of buy bus that we would sit and wait in hot-ass vans in Arizona with full gears, our AR-15s loaded. We got bus jackets on, and we're sitting in there. It's like 172 degrees. You're peeing in a little bottle, and you're waiting. And then the doper calls and says, hey, man, guess what? I'm out. I just sold all your dope, and you have to wait a couple hours. I'll meet you over here at Arizona Mills Mall. And it was like, what the? So this happened. Yeah. So just to let the listeners understand, it's a game, dude. It's like cat and mouse. So they're running salsa on you while we're running salsa on them. We're trying to figure out who's good, who's a decoy, it's a game. So the lady dude, I'm all over the place on this. The lady shows up.
I love this. Dude. This is why you and I cannot talk. We can't be short-winded. That's the problem.
No, dude, because I want to make sure that I hit your topics because I know they're important. But April 11th, the lady drives up. She's in tow with her daughter. We were lucky enough to intervene. We arrested the bad guy, Bobby, who was on a bike. Tells you how good of a dope dealer he was.
He was an athlete.
Yeah, he was a stud, dude. And I think he had a racing shirt on too. I'm not sure. Anyways,
if you'd have had bike shorts on, then you'd have.
Dude, he's clipped into the bike. That'd be funny as hell, dude. No, he's on his beach cruiser. He looks like every single doper that you have seen in the movies. They portray a great job on the movies. But he rolls up and goes to the passenger side. Mom makes the deal. He goes to open the door, and we intercept the deal. We stop it. At least on this moment, we save this girl, right? And I'm in law enforcement. We have a technique called contact cover. So you have one officer that's contacting the so-called suspect, and the other officer is a cover officer. His only job is to look and make sure that the officer who's making the contact is safe. And so you'll see that a lot on traffic stops, and you'll see that a lot on domestic violence, those kind of things where it's kind of an elevated threat level. So I'm at the passenger or at the driver's side talking to her. I look down on the floorboard. I see a baggie of drugs, see a syringe, some oily based substance, which is crazy. That ended up being methamphetamines in an oil based substance that looked like a vial.
Really?
Yeah, which is crazy. Not a lot of people have seen that. And they're like, what? Meth usually anyways. And so I was talking to her. I could tell we were going to arrest her, but I wanted to have my partner come and just confirm it. Like have a second set of eyes. We don't want to be yanking this lady out of the car, because the whole time she's like, listen, man, this dude just came up and he offered me exchange for my daughter some dope. And I'm like, well, that's not what the prosecutor, I'm thinking in my head, that's not what the confidential informant said, but okay.
Right.
So I look at my partner and I wave him over. So now I'm standing at the back passenger side tire. He's at the door. And I hear the lady say, F this. And this was my fault. And I have to take full responsibility for this. For some reason, I left my norm of traffic stops, and I did not have her turn the truck off. She was in a Z71 pickup truck. And I don't know why I didn't have her turn it off, but she had it in park. Her hands were on the steering wheel. I guess it was because I could see them. But she's like, F this, man. And she throws it in reverse and tilts the wheel to the left. My partner's left foot gets caught under the tire. He falls. She runs right over his back with the front left tire. I'm caught in the back, man, and my right foot's caught under the tire. I'm like, oh, this hurts. I go to pull out and snaps my ankle. And then I go to step, and she blows my knee out. Hits my inside of my left leg with the tire. And I remember seeing my knee and my leg hit the ground like Stretch Armstrong. You remember that little toy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it hit the ground. I'm like, that's not good. That's not good. But get up. You got to get up. And so we got up. She reversed out. She tried to take us on a ride. She got stuck in a median and she gave up. And so we arrested. Her name was Cindy. Okay, we arrested Cindy, and she got some time, right?
Right.
But here's where kind of my life changed, dude. Here I am. I'm a police officer. I'm working undercover stuff. I'm working street level crimes. And I'm doing fun stuff. I was actually on a bike team.
Oh, really?
And I was on a patrol bike team, like a side squad. And I remember I had to go to the doctor, and the doctor sits me down and says, hey man, this is a pretty severe blow. I don't know if I can get you back. But he gave me some oxys and said, you're a cop, man. You won't get hooked on these things. And when he said that to me, for some reason, it made sense. I'm like, dude, I'm a cop.
I believe this.
I'm an undercover cop, dude. I've seen the dope scene. I know what happens. There's no way in hell that I'm going to be a drug addict. Well,
right.
A few time later, they can't get me back. I try to come back for a little while. I'm unstable. Doctor finally says, man, you're not it, dude. I'm going to tell the city that you're not fit for duty. Oh. And I remember reading that, not fit for duty. And I'm thinking, damn, dude, I'm in the prime of my life. I'm in shape. Right. But I remember walking behind cars kind of sketched me out. I was nervous, man. Who do you tell? Hey, man, every time I walk behind a car at Walmart, it freaks me out. Right. But the nature of my injury.
Tell people.
Yeah. And especially, you talk about this adrenaline, dude. I felt like I was in Nitro Circus, and being home sucked for me, dude. I hated being home. And right. Now I go in front of the board and they say, hey, Brock, we're retiring you. And now what, man? Who am I? What's my identity? Right. Just like you, if you lost that tag of being a firefighter, your life changes.
Yeah, it does. Completely.
Drastically. Yeah. And people would come up to me, oh, dude, you're an undercover cop. People that knew me well, and they wanted to know the stories. Just like you talking to me, dude. I get excited today about it, because it was so much, it was so cool, man. But what happened, I'll speed this up, but I got hooked on the opioids. And it was because I had no connection. Connection's the cure, right? I had no connection. My team was gone. I'm depressed. I'm changing baby diapers. And, 2 days ago, I'm out there freaking arresting bad people.
Yeah.
And I'm in foot pursuits and I was in a shooting and all this crazy stuff with my team. And I'm looking around. I'm like, where's my team? Where are my people at? And so I got really depressed and the opioids took me for a loop for 10 years, man. I lost everything that I think at that time was the most intimate personal things. My relationship with my wife, my 5 kids, they were youngsters. They saw it. They know what's going on.
Right.
And so, so that's where it took me, man.
That's crazy. I mean, I in one of these things I read about you said, one day you're chasing bad guys and the next day you're picking up kids' toys. And that mindset, and it is one of those things that you talk about a lot of the guys transitioning from wartime or from the military into civilian life, or transitioning even from police and fire service when you retire and you don't have, like the fire service, you don't have that morning of coffee just shooting the shit with people.
Man. And
I think you hit it on the head. And how would you translate that to like the normal everyday person if they're sitting in their house going, well, I'm not going in making drug busts, I'm not running into a fire. What does it correlate to into their life, that collaboration, that camaraderie? What would you think that would be in their lives?
Man, that's a great question. And you know what? I don't know, because I immediately replaced it. And I did it the wrong way. I replaced it with opioids. Right. And the more opioids I took, the less connections I needed. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was self-medicating, made me feel good.
Yeah. Were you feeling numb? Was it like a numbness?
It felt like I could cope with my kids running around, and I could be home without stressed out. And why aren't my guys texting me? Why aren't they paging me? Why aren't they calling me? What's going on? What did I do? And I felt defeated, man.
Did those little moments, because I've had this happen to me, like, you can deal with the most stressful environments, but then you get home and it's the most little thing that a kid does or your children do that sets you off. Was that kind of the similar way?
Yeah, dude, I was a terrible dad at the time. I had just lost my identity. I didn't know who I was. I was fighting to figure it out. There was total chaos in my brain. Maybe you can understand this. When you're fighting a fire, that's like your zen. When you're extricating a body, that's your zen. Like, I know the common person's like, what? Yeah. That's weird as hell. What do you mean? Yeah. That was my calm. When I'm in a threatening situation, it was stressful. I'm in a situation where someone's like, hey, dude, you need to try this. That for me was calming. But being a regular 9 to 5, coming home and trying to find a job and being present with my kids all the time and taking them to the park, that I wasn't trained for that. I didn't know how to do that.
Did there feel like there was no real reward? Because, going into a fire and, extrications or even like, doing CPR, you feel like you're above that just normal feeling of success or of value. Whereas like if I put away the dishes or, I put the laundry in, would have been any different if I didn't?
No, you're 100% right, dude. I remember, I know it sounds really weird, but I was in a shooting just a few months before the incident. And I remember when I came back to work, people wanted to talk to me. They wanted to ask about the shooting. I felt like I was the guy. I'd been through it. And people wanted to know about it. So that attention was there. And so the next big drug bust, the next big thing you do, they're like, you could create that awareness. You could create that people looking at you. But at home, ain't nobody looking at you. You know what I mean? You can't, ain't nobody saying, "Hey, nice job. That was really cool." Talk to me like, "Hey, dude,
that was amazing how you put those clothes in there."
Yeah. And so, dude, it sucked, man. It was hard.
Yeah. What do you think it is? Because, I know a lot of people say ego, but I really don't think it's ego, because if a lot of these individuals who were first responders had huge egos, you would get into something other than what we're in. I mean, it's not glamorous. It's not a glamorous ego job at all. And most of the time you don't get any accolades for anything. Nobody knows you did anything that day. So what do you think it is that, because it's not that ego that's missing. What is it? Is it like ownership? What is it that's missing that you later found in your life in different ways?
Yeah, it was ownership over my beat. It was ownership over my area. For a lot of people that don't understand, your beat was like your 24 blocks of whatever they gave you, 1 Charlie 51. At the time when I'm on swing shift, that's mine. I take ownership of whatever happens on that. I took ownership on being pressed and ready to go. My shoes were always clean. I was always in shape. My mind was right. When I went on a call, people could count on me, right? That was like that personal ownership of just being good at what you do.
Right. It's so huge when you think about it from that perspective, because that ownership, and then realistically, you took ownership of your life, turning it around and keeping yourself clean. Like, what did that feel like? Was that the same kind of adrenaline rush to get to that point where you're like, I'm 30 days in. Oh my God, I'm 60 days in. I'm 90 days in. I think I can do this. Was that the same kind of adrenaline rush, or was it different?
Rob, let me tell you, man, the first 7 days of recovery were the worst days of my life. Worst days. When I had to detox off opioids, anybody will tell you that's the worst pain in the world. Now, that was the time I had the best relationship with my higher power. And I realized that if I was going to change, I needed to develop that in my own life. Because in recovery, I had told myself 1,000,000 times that I got this. That if I had these like deathbed confessionals with God, hey, God, listen, man, if you get me through tonight, I'll never use again. Just give me a pill so I can sleep, or give me a pill so I can have better sex. I mean, it's just, it's freaking crazy, bro. But I remembered that when I'm laying there in the bathroom floor and I was naked and I was defecating myself and I was throwing up on myself and I was urinating myself and I was throwing up so bad that I thought my backbone was popping out of my mouth. I'm like, okay, when you talk about surrendering in recovery, that was my surrender point. I'm like, okay, God, I'm not in charge right now, but I don't know how much more I can take. So I'm going to offer you this. Either take me now because I can't do it, or let me have power back and let me make a change in people's lives, in my life and other people's lives. Right. And I'm not kidding, man. That was the agreement. And that's what kept me sober. Number one, once I started finding those 30 and 60 and 90 days, I could easily – listen, I just hit 12 years of sobriety last week.
That's amazing.
And I remember the detox like it was yesterday. Really? It scares me so – if I went to the doctor and I broke my femur, I am coming out – I don't care if I can even move, talk. If I'm in a coma, I'm coming out and saying, do not prescribe me opioids, because it will I tell people like this, man, if I try an opioid again, I'll end up in Africa naked in some dude's tent. Like that is absolutely how quick addiction happens. Like people don't understand it, but it's one pill. I'm one pill away from relapse. And
that's
so
crazy. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and people are like, I'm one drink away from relapse. And that's what you got to really get your mind around. Like, I just can't go there ever again.
So what is it? Is your empathy for individuals going through that? Because I think that's one of the hard things in our line of work, is that you see that a lot. And you see that and you're like, oh, that person's bad. It's that first reaction to somebody who's overdosing or somebody who's, addicted to, oh, that person's bad. It's not always the case. How did your empathy change for those individuals once you were in that seat, in essence?
What's funny, man? That's a great question. I wish more people would ask that. This past week, it was Monday, Tuesday, I went down to Phoenix. I was working down in downtown Phoenix, and there's a street there where we probably have 1,000 tents line the streets, people homeless.
Right.
While I was there, a guy overdosed on fentanyl. Police, fire were in his tent trying to bring him back to life.
Right.
And I remember, I looked at these people like, man, we got to do better. I'm thinking as a community. See, people want to blame it on the police. They want to blame it on the reform. They want to blame it on firefighter. And the thing is, man, our laws don't help us.
Right.
And so for me, or early on, I had zero empathy for drug users, zero empathy for drug dealers when I was a cop, because I had never been exposed to it. I had zero understanding.
Right.
Because I've gone through it. I know what it feels like. I know the brain is in prison and you can't get out. And there's no key for it. The only way to get out is to knock the shit out that door. That's real talk, man. Really, that's it. And so for me to say, hey, you need to have empathy, I understand where the police and fire get frustrated because they're going to the same person over and over.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so you got a guy, and yesterday he was Narcaned 8 times. And today we have to go back and treat that guy. I understand. The problem is, what's the system? Where's our government help? How do we get these guys help? Because to be honest with you, Rob, I've tried to get people into treatment. If you've had COVID, or if you've had STDs, if you are only on fentanyl and not crack, it's such a difficult. You have to fit this mold to get into rehab.
Seriously.
And I've gone bouts with the state of Arizona. I'm fighting them. I'm still emailing them. We're still working on it. And it's just because there's multi-millions of dollars in opioid epidemic. But what happens if you have mental illness that's fueling your opioid use or fueling your methamphetamine cocaine use? Right? See, that's what people don't understand is what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did mental illness or did addiction come first?
Right. And half the time we're never going to know. I think it is. I love the way that you put it, because I think it's one of those things when you look at it from that perspective. So I had just hit my 2.5 year mark of being, I haven't drank in 2.5 years. So
congrats, brother.
Dude, when you said you're 12 years, I'm like, I'm looking forward to that, because it was such a hard thing to rationalize in your head, to be able to say, I'm going to stop this, because it wasn't, and I'm just saying from my perspective, for me to stop, it wasn't an easy choice, and it wasn't something that I combated before. So I didn't know the path. Did you have help from like your previous experiences or anything like that help you to get through that opioid addiction? Or was it like a brand new journey that you had to go down?
Bro, it was a brand new journey. And I didn't know about AA. I didn't know about ARP, MAT medication. I didn't know anything. I did a stone cold, just throwing my pills down the toilet and dumping them.
Wow.
Dumbest freaking thing you could ever imagine. Like, now I'm cold turkey. And today there's help out there, right? There's drugs, there's medication that you can take when you go to the hospital to help you wean off. And I get all that. But for me, that's what it took. I did not have any help. And Rob, I had alienated everybody on purpose because I didn't want them to see me like that. I had nobody when you talk about no troops coming, bro, I had nobody coming and kicking open the door to find me.
Wow.
Nobody. And that's what we do in addiction. It's not that we don't love you. It's that we don't want you to see us like this.
We
So
love
if
you so much that, yeah.
if I'm a dick to you and you don't want to be my friend, that's perfect. Because guess what? I can suffer alone.
Right.
But if you know what I'm going through, that's why I really believe that sickness, dude, is not talking about it. Our secrets make us sick.
Yeah. What was because here's the thing that's the hard part is that, a lot of people, you talk about your opioid addiction, but you were still in pain. How do you get through? Because, like for myself, like with arthritis and all this other stuff, and you getting run over by a car, there's still pain there. How do you mitigate that while trying to mitigate building that mental strength to be able to just sustain life every single day?
Man, I love that, man. For me, I had to make a choice. Was it worth ending up in Africa in a dude's tent? or
I'm just going to make that happen just for the hell of it.
You know what I mean? Or a woman. I mean, I don't know. A woman's tent. I could end up in President Trump's house. I don't know, dude. Like, it's that crazy.
Part of the Lion King or something,
dude. I'm telling you. But to answer that, yeah. But the mental pain was way worse than the physical because we're mentally tough. I mean, Rob, you run marathons, bro. You finish them.
Yeah.
Okay. And have you done an ultra yet?
I have done a 50 miler.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you understand it. Like, we're just mentally tough people.
Yeah.
Right. And so I realized that I was not mentally tough when I was using opioids. And so I had to make a decision. I would rather be in pain physically than pain mentally.
Wow. That's a huge statement right there. Because I don't think a lot of people can understand the difference, because I think a lot of people associate physical pain with the mental strain and associate it as, that's, I'm having mental fatigue. And it's like, no, it's physical pain and you're bringing about the mental fatigue because you're constantly thinking about it.
Absolutely.
How do you quell those, how do you yourself quell those voices? How have you perfected that?
Oh, man. So if you understand the addiction cycle, the first thing that happens is you always have a trigger. In everything we do, we're triggered to do an act, right? Whether it's eat, we feel hunger, we're going to eat. We see a piece of chocolate, we can taste it, right? I mean, We're all triggered. So in that, I'm still going to be triggered to use drugs. I'm still going to see medication. It's still going to be there. I'm still going to walk into a hospital. One of my worst triggers, craziest thing ever, you walk in the hospital and the cleaning supplies, you know how the hospitals have a smell?
Yeah.
That was a trigger. I'll walk in, I'm like, okay, Here we go. Where are the opioids at? I mean, it's just weird. We all have different ones. The key is, if you want to know how to break your addiction cycle, break it at the thought. What happens is, we get this thought. Triggers last 10 to 15 seconds. Thoughts can last forever.
Right.
But if I can kill my thought, if I can say it's a thought, if I can identify it, listen, that's a thought that I'm not going back to. I'm going to kill it right there. Addiction cycle's done. It never gets to a craving. It never gets to a use. It never gets to remorse. It never gets to shame. And it never goes back to it. I mean, it always goes back to a trigger, but I never complete the cycle. Okay. And so that for me is I don't play with my thoughts. I don't massage them. People that drink, you see a drink of alcohol and you go home and you just cannot get it out of your brain until you use, right? So you can understand what I'm saying. For me, I just cut it. Nope, not going back there. I'm done. Boom.
What does the opioid represent to you? Is it like a calm, or what is the, because a lot of times it's not just the use of it. It's because I would crack a beer in the morning. Sometimes I wouldn't drink it, but it was that feeling of, okay, I can relax a little.
For me, it was the ability to cope. It felt like if I used, I could get through the day.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing other than that it made me feel calmer and be able to cope. I can handle it.
Wow.
because I still had these character flaws. I was still a dick, right? Think about the word addiction. A dick. Right? When you think
that
about
needs to be a shirt, dude.
It's so true, man. In addiction, I still had all these character flaws that I was working with. Before I was on opioids, I was still not the greatest guy, right? I didn't have patience with my kids. I always talked back to the store clerk when they didn't do something right, or my hamburger's cold. I'd be the guy walking up, hey, asshole, give me a free, you know what I mean? Like, what was that, dude?
Yeah.
Like, who was that guy? Like, where's your empathy, dude?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things once I started going through my own recovery that I had to make changes on. Like, I had to change everything about me. And that's, let me just say this really quick. In recovery, man, when they talk about changing everything, you have to change everything. A buddy of mine said, I even got down to changing the pillowcases on my pillows. Like, I wanted it to be that foreign to me to where I could start over.
Wow.
So
I love it. I love it. Hey, you know, you got to make sure you check out Brock's podcast is amazing. Chase the Vase podcast. I'm going to have you on my podcast more. Maybe there could be a guest appearance and you could bring somebody on the podcast. That's what I think should happen. But we'll make that happen sometime.
Oh man, whatever I can do. Hey, but let me tell you this really quick. You ready?
Yeah.
My podcast with you, Chase the Vase, with Fireman Rob, still has the most views.
I love it. I had so much fun. It's just like the conversation we're having is like, you know, you're very open in telling what the truth is. And that is it's so few and far between now, because I had talked with another gentleman and he was saying that there's so much fear from, men and also women nowadays of telling that truth, because you don't know what the outcome is going to be on the other side. You don't know the judgment. But when you get to that point, and like you're talking about, like when you overcame those opioids, when you get to that point of knowing who you are, it's so much easier to just be you and not worry about that, right? Yeah,
man, 100%. I don't give a crap what people think about me, whether they like me or not. I got to be true to myself.
I love it. And that just reciprocates to everybody that's around you and everybody that listens to your podcast. So I appreciate it. And I appreciate you coming on today. I always end with 3 questions. You ready for the first one?
Go.
All right. If you could go back and tell your 18-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
Man, woo-hoo-hoo.
I'll tell you this one. One guy, I think it was 2 years ago, said, you know what? I would probably, if I went back and told was standing in front of my 18-year-old self, I would probably say, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah. Aren't you dead yet?
Yeah, exactly.
I would just tell him, dude, you're going to go through it and it's going to be okay. You'll get through it. Like, I mean, because you can't tell them, hey, you're going to be an opioid addict, because you're like, there's no way in hell, not me. I'm too good for that. So right. I would just tell you to hey, they're going to have hard things. You're going to be okay.
I love that. That's such a positive. Yeah, that's the best thing. That's great advice for any kids that are listening right now. All right, second question. A lot of people go through challenges. They're going through challenges now. They're going to go through challenges throughout their life. What are 2 habits that you could say that they should, put in their daily routine right now to start moving forward? Because habits are going to create greater things in the future. But if they can start doing 2 things, what would you suggest?
You ready? These are easy for me.
All right.
Get enough sleep. Sleep is the most important thing you will ever have. It's a commodity. And number 2, do the hardest thing first of the day. I get up every morning at 4:20, no matter what. Wow. It sucks. I hate it. But guess what? I'm at the gym by 5:00 and I'm doing the hardest thing of the day. Because the reason I do that is if I slip, that's where I start to slip. So I can catch myself. Hey, Brock, you're slipping, dude. You didn't get there. What happened?
Oh, I love that. 4:20 does not sound exciting, though.
And why 4:20? I got no idea, dude. But
Oh my God.
My wife's like, you can't do 421. Why do you do 420? So yeah, drug addict.
Way to go right back to it, Brock.
Right.
All right, this last one's going to be interesting. I have no idea who you're going to pick. So if you could be at a firehouse table and you're having coffee with 3 other people, they can be deceased or alive, who would those 3 people be and why?
Ooh, George Washington.
All right.
Because I want to know really how this country was founded.
Yes.
I want to really know what he went through to get there.
I agree with that.
Yeah, man. Second one would be Jesus.
Yep.
And I know that sounds kind of crazy, and probably a lot of people would say that, but I think Jesus, there was just something about him. I would love to just pick his brain.
Right.
Yeah, and ask him, hey, how am I doing?
Yep.
And man, the third one, who would I want, dude?
Who's going to be the one pouring coffee? Because George Washington and Jesus are not pouring coffee. I know that.
Probably not, man. Oh man, who would I? Dang. This is kind of a hard one. Who I would love to have to talk to is Jocko Willink.
Oh my gosh, that would be perfect.
I just think Jocko's a cool dude. Like I would like to sit down with him. I want to really know. Or David Goggins. Yep. I know people would say that, but those guys are like they have the mental thing figured out. And I would like to just feed on some of the information they give me. There you go.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Make sure you go to chasethevasechallenge.com or you can find Chase the Vase podcast on any of the major podcast networks. Brock, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I know that you'll be on again this year, but thanks so much for joining me today.
You're a rock star, brother. Keep it safe, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening and supporting the Forged in the Fires podcast with Fireman Rob. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast, and please share this episode with a friend or family. To find out more about Fireman Rob or reach out about a question, go to www.firemanrob.com. Until next time, live your life forged in the fires.